بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم نحمده ونصلي على رسوله الكريم. We greet you on this, the 26th day of the blessed month of Ramadan with Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. The juz for today, for those of you who are reciting the Quran, to complete the whole Quran in the recitation of the whole Quran in blessed Ramadan. This is the sunnah of the Prophet sallallahu ta'ala alayhi wa sallam, and also Allah's sunnah. Begins with Surah Al-Haqqah and ends with Surah Al-Mudaththir. Tonight is the 27th night, and traditionally it is considered to be the night of Qadr, Laylatul Qadr. When I was 15 years of age, my father died on this blessed night. May Allah have mercy on his soul. Ameen. So tonight I'll go to my home village where I grew up as a boy and meet with family members there, go to the cemetery and make dua for my father and my mother and my brother who died 2 years ago, and then go to the village masjid and break the fast with them and remain with them until Salatul Tarawih. I do this every year once I'm in Trinidad, yes. We return now to the footprints of the Antichrist. And our Prophet, Allah's blessing be upon him, said this about the Antichrist. He says, every prophet has warned his people about Dajjal. And the prophet Noah warned his people about Dajjal. But I am going to tell you something that none has ever said before me. Dajjal sees with the left eye. He is blind in the right eye. It looks like a bulging grape. But your Lord is not one-eyed. Between his eyes, on his forehead, is written the word Kafir. And every mu'min, meaning someone who has faith in the heart, that belief has moved from the lips and entered into the heart, the mu'min. And every mu'min will be able to read the word kafir or disbeliever on his forehead, whether he is katib or ghayru katib. Katib, the one who can read and write. Ghayru katib, the one who is illiterate, cannot read and cannot write. Now then, here is a very important information about the Antichrist from Prophet Muhammad alayhi salatu wasalam, which discloses his epistemological footprint. Epistemology is that branch of philosophy which studies knowledge and determines what is knowledge, and studies what are the sources of knowledge and how knowledge is acquired, etc. This is epistemology. And this hadith pertains to epistemology. If every mu'min will be able to read the word kafir written on the forehead, well then why is it that the one who is not a mu'min, not a believer, why can't he see? So let's send him to the ophthalmologist, I think he's called, the eye specialist. Have his eyes examined. why can't you see? The report comes back from the ophthalmologist. His sight is perfect. Oh, then? Well, then why can't he see what the believer can see? Is it because, like Dajjal, he sees with only his left eye and is blind in the right eye? And that's why not only could he not read Kafir written on the forehead, but he dances to every tune that Dajjal plays. He was there in the masjid with face mask and all. He was there standing 3 feet apart, social distancing. And he wears the blue jeans. Now let me spend a little bit on the blue jeans, because I got some emails that were not pleased. But no. A Muslim must always wear clothing that he can use for performing salat, because he has to pray 5 times a day. And he wouldn't want to have to change clothing. He's in the field working, he's driving. He doesn't have to change his clothing to perform salat. What nonsense. He has to be dressed in clothing that he can use for salat, for prayer. And in our salat, we have to stand, we have to bow, and we have to go down in prostration, in sajda. The head must touch the floor, the forehead. So our Prophet said, and you'll be surprised by this, most of you would never have heard this, because of Dajjal, of course. The hadith has gone into a place called cold storage. Yes. He said, when women go down in sajda, in prostration, they must remain in prostration longer than the men, meaning not when they're performing their prayers at home, when they're in the masjid. That's when. When women go down in sajda, they must remain in sajda longer than the men. Of course, when you say to the woman, you're not allowed in the masjid, wait for that day, on Judgment Day, when the place will be so furiously hot and you will be thirsty, and you'll go to the Prophet Muhammad by the fountain of Kawthar for water. And he said, no water for you, no water for you today. But Allah says, don't give them any water. They changed the religion after you left. No, women are allowed in the masjid. Wait for Judgment Day. Oh yes, I'm smiling because I know on Judgment Day what's going to be your fate, because you're not listening to us. You're arrogant. You're obstinate. So he said, when women go down in prostration, they must remain in sajda or prostration longer than the men. Why? Why should a woman remain longer in prostration than a man? He said, because some of the men may not have enough cloth to cover themselves. And if she raises her head too soon, it might be an unwelcome sight. Not because they'll be naked, no, because men have to ride donkeys, they have to ride horses, they have to ride camels, so they have to have a lower garment which is sufficiently loose and comfortable to ride a horse or a camel. And then they will have an upper garment. This is not Pakistani clothes. This is the Sunnah. They'll have an upper garment, and the upper garment would reach long enough so that when they go down in sajda, the garment, the upper garment, will cover the buttocks. So some men may not have enough cloth in the upper garment to cover the buttocks. And that is why he said, the woman must remain in Sijda longer than the men. And today, a woman is not allowed in the masjid. Or if she's allowed in the masjid, she's there in the attic, or in a balcony, or in the basement, or in an annex. Or there's a partition between her and the men. When the imam is on the minbar, she can't see him. Yeah? So if you have women in these places, she's in the basement, she's in the attic, she's in an annex, she's behind a partition, or she's at home. What's the use of this hadith that she has to remain in Sijda longer than the men? This is a cold storage. And so here is the dress of a Muslim. You must be dressed at all times when you're in public in clothing in which you can perform your salat. But Dajjal has got you to forget knowledge. And now you dress the way Dajjal tells you to dress. And you are terribly surprised by what I'm saying today. Well, let me tell you something. If you put on your tight blue jeans and you perform salat, or you put on your trousers with nothing hanging over your buttocks when you perform salat, and you go down and you present an image, a vision, something that is tremendously objectionable to the Lord God. You know what he can do with that salat? He can throw it back in your face. That's what he can do. And you have a duty to dress the way you will perform salat all through the day, because you don't know when you're going to perform salat. So now back. Why is it that he cannot see what otherwise cannot see? So he put on the blue jeans and he's comfortable, and he has no upper garment going down low to cover his buttocks, and he's blind as a bat. What is it that's caused this blindness in the world today? Is it because he sees only with the left eye, and he's blind in the right eye? What does it mean when the Antichrist stands up in Jerusalem and he declares, I am the Messiah? Those who follow the Salafi methodology, let me repeat that to all of you who are Salafi. Yes, I don't care 2 peanuts. I have to proclaim the truth. On that day when the Antichrist stands up in Jerusalem and declares, I am the Messiah, the Salafi is going to look at him and say, no, he can't be Dajjal. Because that man is seeing with 2 eyes, and the Prophet said Dajjal has 1 eye, so that cannot be the Antichrist. Yeah, go ahead with your Salafi methodology. You will never wake up, you'll never listen to me. This is not muhkama, this is mutashabihah. It is not to be understood literally, it is epistemological. When the Prophet said that Dajjal sees with the left eye, the implication is that he sees with external sight. And when the Prophet said that Dajjal is blind in the right eye, the implication is that he is internally blind. But no Salafi will accept that. So go your way and leave us alone with your bogus methodology. Go your way and leave us alone. We have more sense than this. When the Prophet said, Dajjal sees with the left eye, it is epistemological. The implication is that he sees with external sight. Observation, experimentation, rational inquiry. But when the Prophet said that he is blind in the right eye, the implication is that he is internally blind. And as a consequence, this is Dajjal's epistemological attack on mankind. He wants to render all of mankind like himself to be internally blind. So a jasad, yes. And when people are internally blind, they're heading for the hellfire, whether they like it or not, whether they understand it or they're not. If you are internally blind and you cannot penetrate the internal reality of things, you are on the way to Jahannam. Surah Al-A'raf. And Allah says, بَعْدَ أَعُوذُ بِاللَّهِ مِنَ الشَّيْطَانِ الرَّجِيمِ وَلَقَدْ ذَرَأْنَا لِجَهَنَّمَ كَثِيرًا مِنَ الْجِنِّ وَالْإِنسِ. Huge numbers of men and women and jinn are now heading for the hellfire. Why? لَهُمْ قُلُوبٌ لَا يَفْقَهُونَ بِهَا وَلَهُمْ أَعْيُنٌ لَا يُبْصِرُونَ بِهَا وَلَهُمْ آذَانٌ لَا يَسْمَعُونَ بِهَا. They have eyes, but yet they don't see. They have ears, but yet they don't hear. They have hearts, and yet they do not understand. أُولَٰئِكَ كَالْأَنْعَامِ. They are just like cattle. That's right. And that's where we are today. Huge numbers of our people today are cattle. The Christian who is listening, the Hindu who is listening, might probably understand it better than some of these Muslims, yes. Because the Hindu knows what is light. Oh yes, the Hindu knows what is light. The Christians in the monastery, they know what is light. But our Salafi people, they don't know what is light. Yeah? Our Tabligh Jamaat people, they don't know what is light. And so this is the Western epistemology. That you only concerned with knowledge externally acquired. The left eye. And knowledge which comes from the internal eye is considered to be bogus. It belongs to Disneyland. This is my explanation of the hadith about Dajjal and his blind eye. Because he has kafir written on his forehead, the implication is that the civilization which he has created, which is modern Western civilization, it is a civilization with kafir written on his forehead. It is a godless civilization. It's a pagan civilization. And those who are blind, because internally they have no sight, they have no nur in their hearts. They're committing zina, they're committing fornication and adultery, they engage in riba, they're telling lies. They accept that a man can marry another man and get a marriage certificate, and they send the children to those schools. These people, blind like a bat, these are the ones who are now comfortable with the modern Western civilization. Like the new government in Pakistan, which will once again become a puppy dog of Pax Americana. That's where you are. But for those who are able to see, you will recognize that this is a civilization with the word kafir written on its forehead. And thank you. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.